Hey everyone, it's Stephanie again, and you are tuned into the review of Married at First Sight, Season 8, Episode 10? I think it's Episode 10. Anyways, last night the couples celebrated their 1 month anniversaries, so let's just jump into it because there was a lot of good content. I'm going to kick it off with Luke and Kate. I was going to save them for last, but I just want to knock them out. So Luke and Kate yesterday, they were once again sad to watch. I really don't want to see them anymore. It was sad to watch Kate be so upset, because Luke woke up early. They kind of gotten into, so let me step back. So all the couples get together with Dr. Pepper for a really nice dinner, and they talk about how it's been for the month and just basically celebrating that milestone. And so Dr. Pepper tells them to rate themselves as a spouse, which was a cool twist because usually it's like, oh, rate your spouse. So they all rated themselves, and Luke gave himself a 7.5, which I thought was way too high. And Kate gave herself a 6.5. And so Luke kind of was like, oh, why do you feel that way? But his like, oh, is so condescending to me because, hello, she feels that way because of everything that has gone on. So she gives herself a 6.5. Fast forward to the fact that they are now talking about this rating. And so Kate is basically saying, listen, just tell me. You can see her growing frustration. She's saying, just tell me, tell me that you're not into me. Just let me know. Stop beating around the bush. And of course, Luke doesn't want to. So Luke is starting to feel bad, but it's kind of too late because he's already offended her. And so basically, he uses that as an excuse to set his alarm early and go out with his friends on the day of their 1 month anniversary. So she gets up, she's hoping that it would be different, but she's not really paying attention to every sign that has been shown in the last month. And here's what's concerning for me. I was really sad watching Kate be so upset. But I'm at the point where it's like now time to shift the accountability to her, which I had started last week kind of saying, what's going on with her self-esteem? What's going on with something that she is struggling with where she would find this to be acceptable? I know that she's committed because they're married, and so she wants to make this work. And she even said in another episode, if we weren't married, then I would have been out. But regardless, this is not okay. So although I felt really bad watching her, I was like mad because I'm like, at some point you have to take accountability and do something different and make a different choice for yourself. Like, there are certain non-negotiables, and being treated like crap is one of them. And so watching her even say, I've built feelings for him, that was concerning for me because I was like, how? When did you get a chance to build feelings? Based off of what? I mean, so I'm starting to wonder about her, like what's going on with her where this behavior and this experience has given her room to even gain feelings. Like, there's a lot of inner self-work that needs to be done here because she's not the only one who's committed to this process and it hasn't worked out. But this by far is one of the most jarring experiences watching this in this series because it's just Luke is so pathetic in the way that he does things, and he says one thing, his body language and his actions tell you the complete opposite. And even when he came home, like, she gave me signs of like an abuser or someone who's being abused. And she was happy to see him and just hoping. You shouldn't even bring it up. She didn't say, where were you? Why weren't you here? And he basically said, based on last night, I didn't know where you would be. Like, he made this foul excuse that really didn't mean anything because he really didn't mean it. And they ate, and it was an awkward dinner. And she was quiet and uncomfortable, and so was he. And then he got up and he left, and that was it. So, I think that they need to call it quits. Like, I was watching Dr. Pepper say something to the fact of, like, if they don't work on their communication, then it's not going to work out. I feel like it's already done, and it's been done. And I think that there should be something said to the both of them before they go down to this 3 weeks. I think they have 3 weeks left, and I think that they shouldn't even go through with the 3 weeks. I don't think it's fair to anybody to pretend like the charade of I won't even call it a marriage, of this thing is gonna really change in 3 weeks. And the fact that she's still holding on to it despite what is being shown is concerning, because it's not like they have a years of a dynamic or a year of a dynamic or anything that would promote that this guy was into her. So I don't even get where she's getting that from. So it's starting to get really frustrating to watch. Like, and I'm gonna start putting the blame on her, because at this point now it's a choice that you're staying and you don't have to stay. So that is Luke and Kate. Keith and Kristine were a pleasure to watch. So here's my take on Keith and Kristine. They're not the ideal match in the sense of he's not really what she asked for. But I think watching them kind of gave me a different perspective, because often in life we have this list. Oh, they have to have this, they have to do that. And so there are non-negotiables that I believe should be on everybody's list. You know, I think if you have to have someone with a certain faith background, that should be a non-negotiable, because it gets a little sticky. A non-smoker or smoker, that's a non-negotiable. You know, certain lifestyle things, that those are non-negotiables. But then there are things where you're flexible with. So I feel like sometimes we have these lists where they might have arbitrary things on them, and then you meet someone who maybe measures up in a way that you didn't expect, but still falls short in other ways. But you learn to love them, and you have such a great dynamic, and you're happy, and you've learned to be flexible and really pay attention to what's really important. And I feel like watching their dynamic, it's more of that. Like, he's not exactly what she would pick. And of course, like, based on his, he wanted somebody tall with a big butt or whatever, she wouldn't be what he would pick either. But I think that they work really well together, and they're trying. What I enjoyed seeing last night was Keith taking the cooking class, because that's like been the thorn in our side about Keith and stepping up. And although he's been severely coddled, I had to say last night that there are some men who wouldn't even try, who would just be like, and now I believe that part of his effort is because she challenges him. And if you go back to review 1, I said I like that she challenges him to do better. Like when he didn't want to go to the gym on the honeymoon and she was like, we're going to the gym. I like that she did that, because she is going to prompt him to work harder and to grow up. And as we've seen over these weeks, he needs to grow up. So I like that he was doing that, but there's some men who just wouldn't do it. This is the way it is. This is the way I like it, and I'm not doing that. So I like seeing him be flexible and take that cooking class and try. That shows teamwork, that shows compromise, and those are two huge components of marriage. So I really enjoyed watching them. Of course, she had a good time with him, and they have a great dynamic to me. I think they probably are the strongest couple of this season, and they're willing to work through things and be open and kind of work together and grow together, most importantly. So that is Keith and Kristine. I think that they did great, and they celebrated 1 month, and they're moving right along. So Stephanie and AJ, it's like I say, it's a pleasure to watch them. If you're new, then I'll just give you my take that I don't really get couples chemistry. I say that every week, so I know people have been watching, they hear it every week. But for new people, I don't get a couples chemistry from them. I get like a great best friend chemistry. Now, there are some friendships that lead to love. So there's this quote that says, love is friendship set on, or marriage is friendship set on fire, which is a beautiful thing. But that's not even the dynamic that I get from them. I get that they're like besties, which is why we see, except for, AJ spazzing out at times, we see them have a great, enjoyable, fun dynamic, because they really do enjoy each other. So it's a pleasure to watch them. If they like it, I love it at this point. It doesn't really matter that I don't necessarily get the couples chemistry, as long as they're getting it for themselves. But they have always also come across very matter of fact, like, this is what I want, this is what needs to happen, checklist, check, done, next, moving on, this worked out. But I do hope that they genuinely have a great dynamic as it appears on camera, besides their little bumps. But naturally, they're good. She meets his high energy, she has high energy. We were a little concerned that AJ might be a lot for anybody, and Stephanie's holding her own in terms of that. So they had a great night. They celebrated each other, and their dynamic seems to be smooth sailing. Like I said, I don't watch the previews because I don't want them to distract me from the current review, because I'll probably get twisted. But for last night, I think that they had a great episode. So that leaves us with Will and Jasmine. So Will and Jasmine, they were the couple that I felt the strongest connection to, when they first got on screen. So first episode. The last few episodes have demonstrated some of the kinks that they need to work on, and now I'm not so sure that I have the belief that it's going to work out for them. I feel like it can, but I feel like there's such a disconnect. And I don't know if anybody else is seeing this, but if it is, comment and let me know. There's such a guarded nature on both of their parts, but more so on Will. So we've been beating Jasmine up about, lots of things. Stop being so aggressive, stop being so nitpicky. She needs to, be a little more soft, or she needs to play into his he's more of like a brainiac, so she needs to play into his wisdom and all this stuff. But like, Will needs to step it up. Will is 37. Will is very guarded. Will, in some ways he's great, he's sarcastic, he's funny, but in some ways he's like a little too laid back. And he last night let me know, okay, this is why Will is single, because there's some fundamental aspects of a relationship that he just doesn't get. So backtrack to when Dr. Pepper asked everyone to rate themselves. I believe that Will rated himself a 7. I think they maybe both rated themselves 7. I don't even remember. But fast track, they're having a nice dinner. They go visit the winery that they got married at. They did the walkthrough. They joke. They seem comfortable. Even in their comfortability, though, they seem a little uncomfortable. Like there's a light discomfort in how they interact, which is giving me cause for pause with them. But I'm trying to be optimistic. But then we see them at dinner, and Jasmine says, "What would you rate me?" Okay. Will says a 6.8. Anything below a 7 is a problem. Okay? No one is going to be happy with that. But here's the thing. In real relationships, sometimes you have to stretch the truth. And I don't mean lie, but I do mean stretch the truth. Like a 6.8 is not lower than a 7, okay? We're not talking about you feel like she's a 3, but you're going to say she's an 8. 6.8, really? And he really, of course, she's so excited to get this answer. They're having a romantic dinner. She thinks tonight is going to be the night. And he, kills the party with the 6.8. And then he further tries to make it more granular by saying, do you want me to take my calculator out? Because I wouldn't give anybody a 10 because no one's perfect. So it's really a 6.8 out of 9, which was higher than your 7 out of 10. Oh my God. It was annoying to watch. Do better, Will. And every man who agrees with him, it's a problem. Sometimes you just have to kind of stroke your spouse's ego, especially in that situation. It's a beautiful night. Don't rain on her parade. I think women are trained and conditioned to do more of this in terms of, support your man, be supportive to his dreams. If he comes in a spacesuit and says he wants to be an astronaut, as a woman, you're conditioned to say, yeah, babe, get on that rocket ship. And you just talk a bunch of trash to your girlfriends because, this astronaut thing is not going to work out. But we support our spouses, and we often, unless it's dangerous, we often let them get to their own conclusion, because you can't just beat your spouse up. You just can't. When they come to you with something, there are certain times where you're like, babe, that's not a good idea. But sometimes the excitement in their face, you're just like, you know what? Try it. Try it. Even in your mind, even if it doesn't work out, they tried. They wanted to do that. They're passionate about it. They're excited about it. How do I look in this dress? You're beautiful. You didn't tell me I looked in the dress, but you kept it positive. You do that. Will miss the class on stroking your spouse's ego. So he gets into this very granular, very not so sexy conversation, and pulling out calculators and numbers, and it really rained on the parade. And I feel like he killed that moment. It could have been a beautiful moment. She always has control over how she responds, so that the night didn't need to be ruined, but I understood why she was deflated. And if that's the way that he approaches things, then that just won't work for any woman. And it wouldn't work for a man if he was excited about something and he, to really argue about point 2. And I also think that there's a way to say there are things we need to work on. He could have said 7. My best bet, if you really don't want to lie, don't go under 7, but don't go over 7. Say 7. And then sugarcoat it. We have a lot of great things that are really good, and then we have some things we need to work on. And then take some time in another conversation where you both are prepared. This is not a romantic evening at a winery. We're both prepared to have a conversation about what we need to work on. So, hey babe, I want to talk about these things. You know, we're so great in so many places, but here's some areas of concern that I feel like we can be better in. I'm listening with a different ear now, and so now I know, okay, I can be open to what it is that you have to say. That night was not the night for that. So while we're beating up a Jasmine, grab a club for Will, because he needs to be beat up a little bit too, and we can all look at this and realize that our power lies in our words, and we can really build our spouse up. And there's ways to do it. There really is a way to do it. There's a time and a place, and he killed that last night. So it frustrated me because I'm like, they're already like kind of on thin ice, and I just felt like that didn't really help where they were going. They had the ability to like go forward or go backwards, and I felt like that was a backwards moment. So I'm hoping that they can get through it. It wasn't a big deal, but there would need to be like a direct like address of that. Hey, you know what I said at dinner that night? This is not what I meant. Because it's not about being right or wrong, and I think both of them have the tendency to want to be right. Like, he's very black and white. This is what it is. You know, if you're gonna pull your calculator out at the winery, clearly he's tight. And so she also is very like, this is what I want to do, and this is what it is, and this is right, and this is wrong, and this is how it should be. We all know that about Jasmine, but we saw a very inflexible aspect of Will, and that's concerning, because how you do some things is how you do all things. So he's not just showing, if you could do that at the winery, he's not just showing up like that just there. So, you know, we'll see how they go, but that's just something I wanted to kind of point out, and something that we can all learn from, because Lord knows we all have to pick a moment in time where we, you know, save face, and where we address things when they need to be addressed. And it's just all part of like learning effective communication and learning your spouse. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think. As always, comment, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification button so you can be the first to find out when I post a new video. Everyone have a great week.